Hello, my friends. ברוכים הבאים. Shalom. My name is Adil. Obviously, most of you remember me. And, we had the luck even to share a tour here in Israel. Uh, the last one was on March, right on the starting of the whole, idea of the corona. And, if you remember, we were saying that we'll keep in touch. So the main idea that I can give you some updates from Israel, send you some interesting content, and maybe talk a little bit about the Torah portion, which is what we do as the Jewish people. We read every Shabbat like some segment. The Torah is Torah. When I say Torah, it's like the first 5 books from Genesis to the Deuteronomy, and they're divided to 55 portions. So we can take the current portion and elaborate a little bit about it, and then make the connection to the relevant what's happening now in Israel. I'm really excited. I haven't done it before. Uh, by the way, now you can hear the rings. I don't know, maybe you can hear the bells of the churches. We are in Karim, we're going to get to it, but there are about 8 monasteries and churches here in this special place. So that will be the following subject. Um, yeah, so as I started to say, I'm really excited about it. I'm more used to guide people, face to face, like more frontal, and this is something we're experimenting together. So you can always send me some feedback later, and I'm always willing to learn. But definitely I'm trying to come as a vessel, as open heart, and like try to bring you something from here over there, uh, and we'll grow and we'll learn. And, you know we're gonna use this opportunity, this Corona time, to learn and expand. Okay, so what I was thinking basically is to start with Israel today. Okay, again, now you can hear the bells, and it's coming from a church here named the Visitation Church. There are 2 churches famous here. One is a Visitation Church. The other one is it's a St. John Church. What their stories and how they're relevant to a place named in Cameroon where we are now, that will be our following subject. But let's start with Israel today, okay? So as you know, same as every place in the world, we're under quarantine. The official one started 2 days ago, but some people already isolated in their places more than a week. Basically, the whole economy is pretty much frozen now, so it's a pretty big test for the whole Israeli society. Uh, Honestly, same as any other place in the world, but hopefully we will come stronger from this. The uncertainty is definitely something which play role here, um, but we have to keep our faith, especially in these times, and try to look for the positive. So for me, one thing which is positive is like the idea of, just before that, we used to speak about the threat of Iran, the Iranian threat, or the conflict, the Palestinian conflict with Gaza. All of a sudden, it's none of the table anymore. Everyone are become equal. Doesn't matter if you're Muslim, Jewish, or every part of the world. We all equal before in front of this tiny virus we cannot even see, and which we can also look at it as a messenger from God, and it's a good time to contemplate and to and get new proportions. And speaking about new proportion, I want to tell you a story. So a few days ago, I was going down here, and I saw a wedding outside, and there were about 10 people. Now you have to understand, here in Israel, we're like very warm people, and an average wedding will be about 350 people, and the cost will be about 100,000 shekel, which is about 30,000 US dollars. A real business. People come, drink, eating. Basically, they're about that. Their impression after normally is, oh, yeah, it was a great wedding. I like the steak, right? But here it was totally different. In that event, it was only 10 people because obviously there are restrictions, and you could literally hear the birds, with the nature of Jerusalem and the mountains around. and you can hear the blessing, and the rabbi, and how the bride looking at the groom, and how they're blessing each other, and how the groom saying the famous verse from Psalm 137:5, and I'm quoting, "If I forget you, O Jerusalem, may my right hand cease to function." Right, and then he broke the glass, um, and everything was like really alive, really, back to the source of it. And it's and all the people there, they felt that they're sharing a real special moment, like in the old time. So pretty much it was like going back to the roots of the rituals, uh, and maybe that's part of the lesson, that we have now from the time that we are. So that this is just a thought that I left the place. um, yeah. And speaking about, I was already mentioning in Kalem. So I don't know if you can see with the lights around, but basically we are all surrounded by mountains and forest, okay? And we're in a neighborhood named Enkarem, which is about a few kilometers from Jerusalem. Now it's already considered to be a neighborhood in Jerusalem. But back in the time of Jesus, it used to be like few yards from the main city. And a family of priests used to live here. Some saying the family of Zechariah, which was the father of John the Baptist. So as I mentioned before, tradition also point out that John the Baptist was born here, and that is why the Virgin and Elizabeth were meeting here while they were pregnant, and hence the abundance of the churches around. Now the meaning of Enkarim, Ein mean fountain, and Karem mean vineyard, and the saying is that back in the time, here they used to bring the wine to the area of the temple for the rituals. um, the interesting part is that this place, which today is going to be nominated as a UNESCO site, is pretty much preserved and maintaining the rural lifestyle from the Bible time. So you walk here, even now, I'm sitting on a place which is a terrace. So in the time of the Bible, they used to cultivate the mountains by building terraces and using some fountains, and shifting the water from one point to another. And it's pretty much the same up till today. So that's what I like about this place. I like to do hikes around here, feel the nature, find some biblical plants, and feel like that we're really going back in time. Um, so yeah, this is about place that I mentioned named Enkarem. Enkarem, by the way, right? So this is about the sites and place, and Enkarem, this is how you spell it. So for further information, you can check it out later. And I would like to end up with the Torah portion. So as I started to say, in the time of the Bible, in the second temple, there used to be two temples. One in the time of King Solomon, and the other one built on the 6th century, and later it was renovated in the time of King Herod in the 1st century BC. It's all, I'm talking all about before Christ, okay? So um, uh, back in that time, few hundred years before Yeshua, Jesus, um, there started the custom of reading the Torah for 3 times a week, Monday, Thursdays, and also gathering on the Shabbat. Now, if you remember, there was a story about Jesus reading the part of Isaiah, right? That was the same idea. He was reading the Torah portion, and then he read some part from the prophet, which is, in that particular case, it was Isaiah. Um, Now, the nice thing about it is that by that you can actually live the Bible, because from the portion you can always find some insights which are relevant to our daily life. So, for example, now we're talking about Leviticus, okay, which is the third book from the Torah. The first one starts with Genesis. The last one is Deuteronomy. Okay, so in the middle you have Leviticus, which I have to say is probably one of the less popular, because it's really hard. It's a lot about details. It's a lot about sacrifice, and in many ways, people finding it hard to find the connection between that and Judaism. Judaism is more about tolerance and spirituality, and there it's more about sacrifice and blood. But then when you digging deep into it, you can always find a connection. So what I liked about it, and I'll make it short because I'm not a rabbi and probably pastor can elaborate more about it. But from my point of view, I find two interesting parts. One is that the sons of Israel, they used to be pastors and shepherds, right? So on a reverse, on a contrary, for people who used to be hunters, which is a totally different culture, like Ismail or the great Nimrod, the great hunter, or Esau, the brother of Jacob. They were all hunters. Now, hunters used to have more individual lifestyle. Um, you gotta be more, more focused on your target, maybe even more, a little bit more cruel, right? While shepherds and pastors, they had more agriculture lifestyle. Um, so they used to live more in a community, and as living in a community, they needed to make some rules, which one will be more tolerant to the other, and that was an idea of the sons of Israel. And even so, we still find it complicated that in Leviticus, the first portion, the book named Leviticus, but also the first portion of Leviticus names the same, and we're talking about the first five chapters. So uh, even by saying that, it's still hard to understand why it's dealing a lot about blood and sacrifice. So in that, I read like two interesting points about that. Uh, First, in Hebrew, sacrifice, we name it in Hebrew korban. Okay, um, but the interesting part is the word karov, which is close. It's similar. It's the same stem as korban, which means close and sacrification are almost similar words in Hebrew. And the idea is that you're sacrificing something which is really close to you. It's not only about the ritual and seeing the blood spilling on the altar. It's more than that. It's the idea that you're going to a temple and you bring something which is really close to you, a cattle or something from your property, and then you see how the priest is like butchering it basically, and dedicating it to God, and looking at it, and this whole uh, uncomfortable scene, and thinking, that could be me, So that's something that kind of make you think twice, make you repent. So this is one thing. The other thing is that again, it's something from your property. The shepherds, the pastors used to have cattle, and basically all you could sacrifice used to be like vegetarian animals, which are what we call kosher animals. So, um, and those animals had a great value, on the daily life. And taking something that, you know, you dear for you, like, it's close to you, and you appreciate it, and then sacrificing it, it's also something that make you. It's a process of repentment, and yeah, it's interesting. I know that even till today, I heard a podcast this week that in developing countries there are still few families, like in Africa or South America, still few families that their whole business is laying down a cow, right? So maybe that can give us the understanding of the whole ritual of sacrifice. By the way, today we don't do sacrifice anymore. After the destruction of the second temple, the idea was that instead of three sacrifice a day, people can pray 3 times. So this day we're praying the morning, the midday, and the evening time. So it's like Shachrit, Mincha, and Arvit. So this is about the Torah portion, Leviticus. Maybe I can add something from the way I look at it. Uh, this portion and the whole book of Leviticus is dealing a lot. It's about the technical and about the body and about the purity and impurity. And that's bring us, to the idea of maybe of the corona. It's something which attack the body, right? But maybe by being in a period of time that the body is being attacked, and we all we all frightened, we all kind of anxious about it. But isolating ourselves, putting ourselves at this restart point, at our houses, uh, going back to the most basic life foundation, maybe by that we can also elevate ourselves. So, maybe it's the same idea of the sacrification, like you're doing something which is really technical. Um, and by the way, it's happened after the book of Exodus, right? In Exodus, they were making like the big sin of not believing in God and starting to work idols. And then they didn't have the chance to like go back again to the tent of God, and they were kind of isolated from God. So this whole book, which is really technical, ended up with the next book, which eventually Moses could go back and go into the tent again. So, we're doing something which is really technical, really about body, really physical, but the main idea is maybe to elevate ourselves. And that's, apply for all of us, whether we're religious or not, observant or not, we all take this time to like take a deep breath, inhale, and try to get back to our core. That's at least my view about it. I would like to end up, because it came out longer than I thought, I have to admit. I would like to end up with the song, right? And this song is based upon a verse from the prophet Amos, chapter 3, verse 8, which says, "The lion has roared, who will not fear?" So there is a modern song which been written like maybe 30 years ago, and it says, the meaning of it is, "Do not fear, Israel, do not fear, because you are a lion, and a lion, if he roared, who will not be fear?" And in Hebrew is, "Al tira Israel, al tira, ki gur aryeh lo ata, ve'aryeh mishag, mi lo ira, mi lo ira." So אל תירא ישראל, אל תירא, כי גור אריה לא אתה, ואריה משן, מי לא יירא, מי לא יירא. אל תירא ישראל, אל תירא, כי גור אריה לא אתה, ואריה משן, guys, that was awesome. I really I really enjoyed from it. That was like breaking my routine with the thoughts, about what's happening around and being in contact with you. And I hope, this, starts a whole new tradition, and we can do it like once every few weeks, hopefully, and that you can hear it on Sunday on your congregation. And, as I said before, I feel that I'm more as, vessel, and if I can contribute something, I'm here. So I'll add my details. You can always approach me. And if you have any kind of question, whether about, what's happening now in Israel, or about different sites in Israel, like, "Hey, Adiel, can you please elaborate about this place or these sites in Israel?" Or maybe about ideas from Judaism. Maybe like, "Adiel, you started to say something about the wedding. Can you elaborate a little bit more about the Jewish customs?" Or just name it. I'm here. I'll be more than happy to help. And I'm sending you like big hugs and best regards from Israel. Shalom. God bless you. השם ישמור עליכם. להתראות. שלום.